Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the RationalInvestor.co's Daily Brief. Dun, dun, dun. And we're live on YouTube, too. So, hello, YouTubers. A few people over there. Yeah, there's a few people over there. So, make yourself at home. Hi, Mike. Great to see you. And we got a fairly full lounge here, so lots of interaction. Feel free to interact if you are in the lounge and ask questions. And we have resident salmon poacher. I don't know. What do we call you? Do we call you Boo Boo, or are you more of a yogi? Anyway, Mr. Bayer's here. There he is. Hey, Thomas.
What's up, everybody?
Hey, Chief. Sounds like you're a little far away from your microphone, but nonetheless, good morning, everybody. I guess we were all sort of a little bit wrapped up. The CFTC was having an interesting hearing this morning. And somebody found the YouTube link, so hopefully they will go back and let us be able to watch it afterward. But we were just sitting here watching it for about the past hour and a half. I think it started about 7:30. Yeah, so it started at 7 o'clock. So we've been listening to these guys for 2 hours. And it was riveting. I mean, it was a really good discussion. And what I'm hearing, what I like, is that, you know, industry in the United States is saying, hey, come on, United States of America, you're actually falling behind here a little bit. And other countries are going to basically steal this space from you if you don't get off your butt and start getting ahead of the curve here. I also was listening to some, you know, my impression that I got was very, very intelligent people. And these people have been in the space a while. They're getting pretty good at this. And I noticed that we're starting to lose, you know, sort of talk about blockchain. And they're starting to call it, what is it? Decentralized decentralized ledgers, DCL. Is that what the term is? I kept hearing that over and over and over. DLT, decentralized ledger technology. Yeah. Thank you, Kevin. So we can already start to hear that industry itself is already starting to come up with its own distributed ledger technology. What did I say? I don't know whether I said that or not. But I thought that was just kind of interesting how they just kept saying that over and over and over and over again. So basically they're creating their own buzzwords. And I suppose we have to expect that, right? Industry, I think, is going to put their own spin on this. And bureaucrats, they love to come up with their own sort of acronyms and stuff like that to make their, justify their high salaries. They should call up TRI and ask us, because we've already put all the names and stuff on this. All right, so I was just about to give you a nice big softball setup for our resident bear to come and give us his 2 cents, and I see Thomas has bailed on us. But anyway, he has quite a good show here planned for you if he decides to come back. Is he back? Thomas, are you here? Oh, there he is. Hey, come back. Yay. And actually, this is kind of tricky. If one of us drops out and somebody else comes in and snags one of our seats, we're screwed. But anyway, you made it back. Hello, Thomas. Are you with us?
Oops.
That's okay. Hey, nice to see you. So I am looking at your schedule. If you're ready, where do you want us to go, sir?
Yeah, let's do a quick stock market overview before we jump into the best part of the show. I've been watching the Dow losing steam here, volumes trailing off, and we are not really pounding through 38.2 like I would have liked to see on a good, solid recovery. Brian's bringing that up now. Everyone will
be you always like to watch this Dow. Jesus.
Oh, you like the Dow. I like the S&P. You're so silly.
I can't even find the chart where I had it on here, so I will crack. Oh, maybe no, it's not that one. I guess we'll just create a new one. It's no big deal. New chart. I should probably try and save it. But
I think you like the S&P because there's more options volume that you can track through the CFTC. So we can really see and read the tea leaves about the boys and where they want to take the market out. The Dow isn't so good at using that.
I suppose so. I don't know. I mean, I guess the reason I would, it was from my prop trading days because the boys, they follow ES, right? And everybody say ES, ES, ES. That's all they talk, ES. But anyway, actually, it was really interesting. And let's see if TradingView is going to give us a real-time chart here, because sometimes these are delayed. Yeah, okay, so US dollar's coming off here a chunk. We could talk about that. I mean, that Japanese yen trade we talked about recently is just kicking ass. We can look at crude, I suppose. Still looking. Oh, this is a weekly chart. Oh, no wonder. I was like, what the? Isn't that interesting? So they actually left a gap. You don't see that every day, guys. They actually have. Look at that hole on the weekly Dow chart. You don't see that very often at all. It's quite surprising. Okay, so here is the daily chart of the Dow. And remember, we had talked about this recently. Jesus, this thing looks like Swiss cheese, eh? I don't know whether this is the correct symbol for us to use. I think we were looking at the yummies before. But there is that island on the futures. There's a gap there. I noticed in this cash market there isn't, but look at the size of that gap there. Hey, caramba. And then what the hell is going on here? Maybe that isn't a good one to use. I'm sorry. I'm wasting everybody's time. Sorry, guys. Okay, so here's the futures. There is that gap to the downside. There's that little island gap, empire to the upside. So they ran up into that level here, and now they backed it off again. Remember, we've got the big February contract expiring here on Friday. And this is actually, if you've never traded options before, if you're not familiar, we used to have an old rule that said that you're going to see most of the business that's related to this options expiry. You're actually going to see it tomorrow. So get ready. Tomorrow will be the day where we see the fireworks. And then Friday, the actual options expiry day, it'll be dead quiet. And price will probably not move much. So let's see what happens. My hunch is if there's going to be a pop, it's going to happen somewhere overnight tonight and through tomorrow morning. All right. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm wondering if some of these options come off and they give the green light to go down, or like we were talking about yesterday, where we see the stock market marching higher. And of course, my favorite topic to talk about lately is the volatility index rising higher. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. Volatility index is down below 20 right now. Again, I'm looking for it to spike on Friday. So we'll wait and see with that. But right now, I'm really interested in seeing this the stock market losing momentum and losing volume here, and that's probably because of options expiration, as Brian was saying. So we'll have to wait and see. For now, this is just a let's see what's going on. So should we move on from here, Brian?
Sure. I think, probably just a little reminder to everybody, just simple trading ranges. I don't even think we can even really read much into this market until we have this level traded to. So I could very easily see another swish lower here back into these support levels. And if I'm not mistaken, when we looked at the stock market, I think there's like gaps and stuff all around this. So yeah, right down in here, you can see this big hole at 38.2. So this is kind of like what we saw with Bitcoin recently, and people are like calling bottoms and stuff like that. But really, I hate to say it, guys, I don't think anybody should be in a big hurry to call a bottom in the stock market until really, what the hell did I just do there? That's not what I wanted to do. All right. Well, anyway, this is obviously on a different scale, but 38.2, you can see how close we came. But I wouldn't be surprised if there's one more push lower here back into these gaps, these key support levels, and then we start the next leg up. So be careful here. Did hear a lot of people saying, all right, I just went 100% long stock market here. This is it. And oh boy, that to me, it looks like it's asking for trouble. And kind of like what we just went through in the Bitcoin market, right? I could very easily see, and we've sort of talked about this recently. I got a funny feeling Bitcoin is an awesome leading indicator. And if that's the case, then that means that the stock market is sort of like right here, right now, right? Where, we just had the initial dump. There's 38.2s. We're still waiting for that. This is, Bitcoin related. And then there has to be this final sort of capitulation wipeout here, and then the market can bottom. I think that's what the stock market's got to see here. If anything, what I'm worried about is if we actually do, and we should keep an eye on this. Like, what level is that? Let's watch for harmonics. I mean, maybe we have to come up here and do something like that. That's 50, almost 60. So, let's watch for this. If we rally up into this area here, and where's Steven, right? And who's getting really good at harmonics lately is Ian. And I always knew harmonics were going to really speak to him, and he's turning into just a harmonic wizard. So, I've been going to be really curious if we rally back up into here, fill in those gaps that we saw on that other Dow chart, right, and then roll over. That could be really bad. But I think kind of like what we just saw with Bitcoin, I think the stock market's going to go boobity boo and boobity boo. That's sort of my hunch, for whatever the hell it's worth. And notice, remember we said, look at that, look how that freaking lines up there. So, that to me looks like a pretty important level right in there against all those lows. And if I'm not mistaken, right, we'll do 38.2. I got a funny feeling that's where 38.2 is. So
that's some pretty sexy bear candy right there.
Yeah, totally, eh? Yeah, so can you say, I mean, I don't know where, yeah, let's go off of that low, right? So there's 38.2, there's that gap, there's a whole bunch of key lows there, traffic, look left, blah, blah, blah. If this consolidates and all those options, remember we looked at all those options, if they all expire or exercise, then that means Wall Street's going to be heavy. Could totally see. And then, of course, who can fill in the blank? Let's maybe go and ask the YouTubers. And yeah, if anything, Thomas, this is now when you have to keep that color coding thing on here. I see we're at orange. If that turns to red, I know I got to shut the fuck up, right? Right? That's the plan, right?
Yes.
Okay, so my eyes are peeled here. I'm watching. Good. But let's see. I actually warned you guys recently. Is there some sort of thing that we should watch for in the beginning of March? Well, it's kind of mid-March, where markets often pivot off of. And I've seen this happen years and years and years. It's remarkable how consistent this is. All right, Rob, you got it, right? The Ides of March, right? And so I think it's like the 12th or somewhere in there. So could we have our final sort of capitulation dump in to fill in these gaps against the key support? 38.2, Ray Burchett's happy. Complete this AB equals CD. Wall Street relieves itself of being so massively long the market and sort of, cleans everything up. And they hit the reset button for a spring rally. I think that's totally realistic. So, all right.
I don't want to see Wall Street relieve themselves. That sounds weird.
Oh, Wall Street always really, if anything, the chart that really catches my attention, we talked about this recently, is this Japanese yen, eh? What a pretty little turn. So, and this also too, I noticed Mike, and this is sort of down your alley specifically in your industry, but I saw Mike in the lounge just pointing out that gold's catching one hell of a bid here, right? So, and I think that gold will be dragged higher if the yen just keeps powering higher. And then, as you've been talking about recently, how does the gold, justify moving higher? Well, if it's priced in US dollars and if the yen's rallying versus the US dollar, that means the US dollars index itself is getting weaker. So gold has to be priced higher. So you can see that US dollar has been coming off here a bit here of late.
Yeah, and I don't see gold making any new highs unless the dollar makes new lows here. So
yeah.
I mean, if the dollar doesn't go down, you can't expect gold to break out yet.
Yeah, and you can see there is the bottom. So the sad thing is there's this pretty nice railroad tracks there. At least we got candle body lows. But if we change this to a line chart, right, that's just going to be a V bottom, down, up. So, if this is indeed still a bear, we'll just blast through those lows and head lower. But totally agree with you there. You can't assume that this thing's going to break through those lows. We got to see the test. And you can see that even now, they might even take the market down here. You can see we're not going to be in divergence. And the market was already working off an oversold condition. So, is this a great short location here? I don't know. That's awfully tough.
That's so key. I love the way you use momentum right there. And that's so important because if the dollar is to continue lower, I mean, something's really messed up for us to see that Momo roll over in the place that we're at right now. And I just don't see that happening. I don't see any news event coming out that's going to squash the US dollar anytime soon.
Well, if anything, what I'm kind of thinking, and when's the next Fed meeting, right? So we should actually have somebody on sort of Fed watch. They've and the data coming out, the CPI data is pretty inflationary. Ironically enough, I think what actually happens here is the Fed raises rates, forces the economy into recession. And that's actually going to launch the US dollar higher because like places like Europe, I remember we talked about it the other day, like Italian retail sales are actually negative year over year. So ironically enough, I think the way that this ends is with some big honking fucking US dollar rally. So, if anything, I suppose one could argue with Japanese yen. I don't know whether, any of you guys see the Canadian employment data? Holy Jesus Christ. They came out with negative 55,000 jobs or so. Was it like 80,000 minus 88,000 jobs? So to put it into perspective, the Canadian economy is about, I don't know what that means, Alex. That scares me when you say that. Or Axel, the Canadian economy is supposed to be about 10% the size of the U.S. economy. So in relation, if Canada has a minus 88,000 jobs, that literally is the equivalent of like the U.S. employment report coming out, and it's showing a loss of like 1 million jobs. How well do you think that would go over? They'd probably want to like burn Trump at the stake if that kind of report came out. Now, there were some structural issues with what happened. The bulk of the jobs were lost in part-time and in jobs that pay minimum wage. And the Canadian bureaucrats, bless their hearts, decided that they were going to force the market to accept paying a higher minimum wage to workers. So as a result, business just goes, okay, fine, fuck you. You're all fired. So, I mean, this could really, really backfire in front of, and it's a typical socialist agenda. We're going to make life fair, right? And all that kind of stuff, right? But the bottom line here is the baby boomers are still the dominant demographic. And really, you could argue that the up-and-comers, the people that are in the minimum wage category, they don't make that big of a voting bloc. So ironically enough, if the economy in Ontario rolls over, and things turn ugly, the socialists, man, they're gonna get run out of government on a rail by the baby boomers. But anyway, it's an interesting anecdote, and I thought it was funny. Mike showed me the article from Rob TV yesterday, and the very first thing, right, the very beginning of the article is, "Don't panic." Now, when you have bureaucrats and you have TV personalities pleading with you not to panic, that's not a good sign. Anyways, I didn't mean to get off topic, but that when Mike showed me that yesterday, I was just like, oh my goodness. And really, it just makes sense, guys, right? Canada, Australia, Russia to a certain degree. We've had the best days of this cycle are actually behind us now. And ironically enough, now that we are on the other side of the cycle and the US dollar survived, 2008 was its test. Now, ironically enough, I actually have to turn into a US dollar bull. And what I do see is a high correlation with like Bitcoin and the US dollar. So in a weird sort of way, I get the feeling, especially listening to these bureaucrats this morning, I get crypto's here. It's here to stay, and it's taking over. It's almost like, these artificial intelligence tweets and stuff that I put out. I mean, help wanted. Humans need not apply. I mean, this is our future. The irony of it all is within 20 years, I don't think there's actually going to be many bank employees. Actually, getting a job at a bank is actually going to be an extremely rare position. But that's just my 2 cents. Anyway, okay. I see the colors are changing. So where do we go next, sir?
Bitcoin.
Or are we already heading over there now? Okay.
Yeah, let's get out of this space.
Okay, Bitcoin tastes great. Interesting to see our little doji candle here. We were able to break the high of the doji candle, which technically means this opens up the gateway for an empire. And if this is indeed an empire, then that means that we could have price rally all the way right back up to the top of this weekly candle, which is 11,820. Betcha that's the last thing anybody in this space was expecting, eh? Go figure. Is there a chart that you would like us to look at here in the short term, sir? Do you have a chart? What are your pretty charts?
I like your inverse head and shoulders. Let's see what that looks like.
So you kind of cut out there. I didn't quite hear what you said there.
This chart I wanted to see with the inverse head and shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
There we go.
It's interesting how I talked about that weekly empire, and its target was like 11,000 and change, and notice that the bot's target here on OKCoin is also 11,150. That's interesting. All right, what's on your mind, sir?
Let's zoom in here and bring up some Momo, and I want to caution everyone, even though we are. Anyone that trades on leverage, let me say, you're entering into a new phase of the market. So anyone that's been following me since I started doing the show, we were in a bear phase, and you're looking for bearish setups to come in and verify. Now that we're entering into sort of a short-term or bull market, any kind of bearish setups that start to show up, you really have to make sure they're 100% verified, because I notice that there's a lot of fake outs. So you can see a lot of momentum divergences with price, and you say, okay, this thing's going to roll over. There's a potential M coming in, and it verifies, but then it doesn't dump. So in this state of market, I would almost recommend that you don't short unless you have a 4-hour setup on the bearish side. This can really run traders over. And when I first started trading, this was the most frustrating thing that I had to learn, is that your bearish setups don't mean anything until they verify on higher time frames. And
we got a big old 4-hour, big old fat W that came in here. I think I was posting out the other day that these two lines, in my opinion, were going to be major tells. And, on the daily charts, we had a potential inside bar bearish reversal set up yesterday. And you notice that right out of the gate, out of yesterday's candle, they were just like, we're not fucking going down there. And boom, they went and smashed it top here. So totally agree. And really, when we're looking at these kind of charts, this is why, guys, I really don't like the idea when you get into higher time frame long, like buying zones, hunting short setups. It's like you're swimming against the tide. So I totally concur with that. And it looks to me like we want to probe up into this sort of 11,000. We got lots of different charts that look like that. And I like your thinking there, Thomas, where it's not going to be straight line up. So if you want to drill down to the lower time frames and hunt the opportunities to get in on the long side, I think that's very smart. So do we think about going and buying way up here? No, you got to wait for the consolidation, right? Let it settle down and wait for your W's. You can clearly see, we're overbought now. So, this market technically in the short term is stupid. And that's why I sort of put these 3 different studies on here, where I just said, what does the recent pullbacks actually look like, right? This was one here, this is one here, this is one here. and I just sort of replicated what would they look like. I don't know whether we dip all the way back down to the original bot entry level, but we've talked about this bot setup here for a couple days now. It's interesting, and such a great anecdote of just being nice and patient and disciplined. You actually had a lot of opportunities to get in on this setup if you wanted to take it and you were trading it. You can't say that the market didn't give you an opportunity to get in. It's had its move stop to scratch level hit here. You can see move stop to scratch. So if the market does like crap right out and pull back right back to the entry, the people that took this bot would actually be well served just hopping off and just letting the dust settle. For whatever it's worth, my hunch here, especially through the fact that, into that conference, that was New York kill zone. We actually broke to new highs here and on a fairly bullish candle too. So, usually we get sort of New York kill zone, top, dump, right? Nice short trade. So the fact that through that and into that conference, they went and busted it to new highs tells me that I don't think she's done yet. I don't know if we do this deep a correction here. And, as we saw on coins like, and I'm sorry, I'm talking way too much, but I'll just wind this up very shortly. Remember we were looking at ETC bullish bot setups. I thought I had that on here somewhere. Oh, I guess I had it versus Tether, but we had a bullish bot set up on ETC. Remember this from yesterday? This guy, he's just like, fuck you, man. I'm just going for it, right? And now he's had his move stop to scratch, move stop to trailing level hit. So you could start, hunting M's here to move stops up. But this is kind of what I think the Bitcoin bot's going to look like. I just don't see a lot of give back here. Sorry, Thomas, totally cut you off there and went off on a wicked tangent. Sorry about that.
Yeah, I like this. What chart did you just have? Was that a 4-hour chart or a daily?
How many charts ago was that? Was that the Ethereum?
No. You just flashed it on the Bitcoin chart.
This is this is a daily Finex. Is this
this one, the daily Finex. So I want to start out talking about Finex in the news. There was an article published late last night, and I did some digging, and we found out that probably in November 2017 that any United States customers were pretty much banned from trading on Bitfinex, with the exception that nobody really knew about unless you were an institution or a corporate trading desk in the United States. You were allowed to continue trading on Bitfinex and on margin.
Were you really?
Yeah. So what happened this week is that 2 individuals came forward on Reddit, and they claim to be members of corporations and institutions that are trading on margin on Bitfinex. And they told everyone today or last night that they were no longer allowed to access their accounts. They had 6-figure margin positions at Bitfinex when they were locked out of their account, and they were unable to, first of all, close their positions. No one at support was answering their concerns. Wow. And as of now, nothing's going on. They said that they got in touch with one support agent who basically said that he's very sorry that this is happening and that it's not right that they're doing this, and he's doing his best to look into it, which is really concerning. So I would caution anybody on Bitfinex here. I don't know why they're doing this. I don't know if there's some kind of regulatory pressure.
If they were long or short?
They didn't say. But what I wanted to... Yeah, I mean... if anyone has the longs versus shorts on Bitfinex from TradingView, we could probably go in and see what's going on. But they were really freaking out on Tuesday.
That's pretty significant stuff, Thomas.
Well, the only reason they knew that they were locked out was because they were getting emails. They were getting emails directly from Bitfinex saying that, hey, you're going to get margin liquidated here. And they're like, well, what's going on here? And they tried to log in and change that, and they couldn't. And I'm going to post a link to the story in the lounge. So that's right there.
Yeah. So, and the question would be if they're heavily long or if they're short, and what's the play here? Why would?
Yeah, so they were actually long. They were long because they were getting emails that they were going to be liquidated on the short side for the trade going against their long position.
Could Phoenix maybe be short coins and need to raid people's accounts?
I don't know. This is weird. I don't know why you'd want to screw over one of your bigger clients that has six-figure trades margin and long. That doesn't sound right to me.
We should probably bug Simon about that. But where's that link? Did you? Oh, you put it here in the news here, or
it's in the lounge.
Yeah. News: U.S. corporate customers barred from Bitfinex margin markets. Remember that? What's that guy? Bitfinex, right? He's always been talking about how these guys are a big scam, right? Are approved. All right. So this, but this should be an interesting adventure. Let's keep an eye out, see how this develops. And the great part about it is this space, there's never a lack of FUD, right? There's always something we can be stressed over. I haven't heard anybody squawking about Tether lately. When do we start worrying about Tether again? And it'd be interesting. So if this was actually posted 15 hours ago, it'd be really interesting to see what the initial reaction of that. So what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So that was all right down in here. Isn't that interesting?
Well, I hate to burst that counting bubble of yours, but this was actually posted on Reddit 5 days ago. So I had
5 days. Oh, okay. Well, so that's even more interesting. So 5 days ago.
And they have not updated the thread since 5 days ago that they've had any luck with this changing.
All right. Well, thank you, sir. So we have new FUD to watch. So let's see. Is this like the link or something? Anyway, we'll keep an eye on this. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Okay. So short-term prognostications. Do you have any targets?
I mean, I've got do you have fibs running from the top of the market at 19,000 down to the lows?
Cash market or forwards or?
Yeah, let's do the cash market.
All right, so where should we do this? We could do stamp. There's a nice simple one. Probably 38.2 is probably. Oh, there you go. Watch out for the flying cash garbage cans. All right, so the 38.2. There's that 11,171. Remember, that's the bot target on OKCoin. And what I've seen recently, I thought I had it on one of these charts, is there's a guy that I respect from back in the TradingView days when we used to hang out on TradingView and analyze Bitcoin. I thought I had it on here. But anyway, he put out a tweet a while ago sort of suggesting that he was thinking that they're going to paint a head and shoulders here. Get everybody rah bull, and then set us up for the final leg into the late spring, early summer, like that. And remember, we were talking about your buddy. Didn't you say one of your buddies is like a big Elliott Wave fan? Yeah. And if we're thinking Elliott Wave as 5 waves, so 1, 2, usually wave is the biggest wave. So 3, counter trend rally, 4, and then 5 for your ultimate finish to this move.
Yeah, you know what I would like to see personally is I would like to see this go to that 11,000 area, tag 38.2, put in a V top, march all the way back down, get all the noobs freaking out that we're going to make new lows, and put in a nice W. That would be the most perfect thing we could see here happen.
Yeah, I agree with you. You know, I don't know. You know, my cycle guys and all that kind of stuff, right? And then our sort of thesis about Goldman Sachs putting in the bottom at 3,000 last summer. I'm gonna stick with my thesis that we see new lows here into the late spring. Of course, nobody likes that thesis. But I'm going to still stick with this. And somebody even asked on the site, because we're long like an absolute shitload of Bitcoin here. So on this counter trend rally, we do a TRI have a plan to lighten up a bit of our Bitcoin holdings here. So everybody on the site should be fully cognizant of that fact. And really my hunch is on this event, this I think marks the ultimate bottom and the start of the next sort of revaluation phase. And I got to tell you guys, I mean, I like the fact that this is happening nice and efficiently. It's happening quickly. Just get the pain done with, rip the bandage off, and then we can start getting back to the business of crypto. Because I think, the future's so bright, you got to wear shades. I do like the fact that this double divergence is trying to come in here now too. So, this supports the idea. I think, if anything, we might have nice little sort of, maybe 3 or 4 week, month-long rally window here. So I'm feeling good about that. So
are you
excuse me.
Are you planning on selling your Bitcoins at any certain level, Brian?
Yeah, actually I do have orders, right? We had sort of a team meeting. Every $500 here, we're going to be spoon feeding the market the whole way up here. But after 10,000, the boys are like, we don't want to sell anything below 10,000. We want a 5-figure print on our sales.
Are you comfortable?
Okay, fine.
Are you comfortable disclosing what percent of your portfolio you plan on selling every $500, or do you want to keep that a secret?
A percentage of the portfolio, each of the sales above $5,000, each of the coins it's a half a coin order, so it's like $5,000. Ideally what I want to do is I want to give the TRI, because keep in mind, everybody, we started this with $500. So I want to give TRI the ability to do things like prop funding for you guys. That we could take $5,000 and fund you, and have you run a portfolio on the site for the community. So we have right now about 90,000 in cash, quote unquote. We'll move that over to US dollars when Bittrex starts accepting US dollars. And if I understand correctly, that's the plan here in the short term. I wouldn't mind actually getting that up to 150, 200,000 through these sales. Keep in mind, we still got a shitload of altcoins, and it looks to me like the altcoin market is getting ready to get real hot again. So the irony of it all is I might go and raise all that cash, and then the altcoins go all nuts again, banging out doubles, blah, 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 blah. And by the time this whole rally's finished, I haven't actually sold any Bitcoins. I have the same amount of Bitcoins as when I started. I can totally see that happen. But that's just crazy life, trading these crazy altcoins.
Well, that's pretty cool that you've got that planned out. So everyone that's listening, there's some pretty cool stuff in the works here.
Well, yeah, that was a bit, you guys got to understand this site that's coming down the pike. I mean, we're creating this monster network. I mean, these guys, we got like 6 different programmers all like going full bore right now. Each and every one of you, I don't know whether I'm allowed to, but I'm going to, well, actually, I think I put it away. Oh, so all the boys are like, okay, phew, you didn't give away any secrets. but we've already got the TA pool building. Grim is in there, and Thomas and James, and anybody who, in my eyes, anybody who completes the level 3 program, I would be more than happy with you being the voice of TRI and the voice of reason and working with trading plans. So we want to really build up that TA pool and really give everybody the ability to, network, make this place a better place for everybody to all participate in together. So, it's so stoked. The future is so awesome. Like this video, everything about this video is going to be internal on TRI. There is not going to be any more Hangouts. That's going to sort of disappear. Everything's going to be all internal and on the site. So, it's quite remarkable, the stuff that's coming down the pike here for you guys. Well, my suggestion is kind of like how Alex. I've sort of told you, Alex Stirk. I don't know whether some of you probably don't know who that is, but we used to do the Coinigy shows, the bat shows. Alex, myself, and the Coinigy guys. And he's a principal at Ubic, and he's actually screaming for like a developer cycle. He would really like, the market just to calm down, and that's sort of what this is all about, just the market calming down, and these like crypto guys actually being able to work without getting bombarded by 100 million messages every 10 minutes. And if anything, I'm kind of looking at 2018 as sort of the similar kind of thing with TRI is we're actually building the framework and the infrastructure for the next cycle. And I got to tell you guys, the tools, like all the screening tools, the charts, volume profile that you don't have to pay for, fuckers, TradingView, all that kind of stuff that is really necessary for us. It's all going to be at your fingertips. I can't wait for the site. It's going to be so awesome. You guys are so lucky. So anyway, that's the side. Sorry. How are we doing on time?
Did we give anyone we don't really have any short-term setups for anyone to work here other than to hunt longs into that 11,000 area. So any pullbacks, what I noticed is that since about the beginning of the week and over the weekend, we were only pulling back to about 38.2, give or take one or so setups that brought us down to Mountain Man. So I'd be eyeing on the longer ranges sorry, not on the longer ranges, but on the shorter ranges, if you can draw your fibs, hunting for, 38.2 pullbacks and hunting for that market structure to go long here.
And what I used to do in crude oil days was if I couldn't get in on a bigger bot, there's no reason why you can't hunt a smaller bot to try and get you in on that bigger trade. So, we've had our big rally here, and just like Thomas says, we can see where our 38.2 is right now. It's against this previous support line. You can see that's the top of value. So if we can pull back down into here and consolidate and put in 3 lows, maybe you can hunt a smaller bot to get in on the bigger bot. That's totally doable. And really, I guess this kind of makes sense for bigger bots. If we go and put in a big fat M here and then just crap out and take out this 25 level, right, and wash these lows, then I think it means that the market's just not quite ready to go, and we got to wait for another consolidation, hunt those W's, and away you go. As it stands right at the moment, I think you can't chase this. We have to wait for some sort of consolidation here. Lots of fun in the altcoins.
Yes, the altcoins.
Yeah, I suppose is that a okay dovetail the way I did that? I don't know.
Yeah, that's great. Do you mind if I start with the news segment and then we can jump into the individual names?
No, go for it.
All right.
Where do you want me going?
I wanted to. There's 2 kind of we'll call them security risks. The first was a Telegram 0-day exploit that only a Russian guy was using that affected Windows users. So people were propagating a file that ended in .png and thought it was an image, but really they were using the reverse Unicode system that's popular in Arabic and Hebrew that actually had JS before the .png, so it executed a JavaScript file. And that was installing a Monero miner on people's Windows computer. But evidently that was patched. So anyone that has Telegram and is running Windows, you might want to look into patching your computer. Now, with that being said, there's another one with another Monero exploit.
We should really clarify that. That's pretty important. So anybody who's using this program, you're at risk.
So I think it was patched. I'm going to post the news article in the lounge. So anyone that wants to look into that further.
That's what you're talking about here, this news article?
Yes.
And of course we've got like a whole shitload of super smarties, computer people. So anybody who is on the Telegram group and who there you are, Andre, right? There's you right there. See, Andre's trying to send me. You can see he's sending me JS files as it is, trying to steal my computer. He's probably already on here now, for all I know.
Well, it's just the same warning. Don't click on anything from someone that looks suspect.
Yeah. In fact, actually, and this is where this is a bit dangerous, right? So you go to these reward mob, right? And consensus, this is another, join our Telegram group, all that kind of shit, right? So, you be damn careful of these, like our site people, the level 1, level 2 groups and stuff. Yeah, I think, we're not going to try and fuck each other over, but, just be careful. But definitely, if you're going to these airdrop and fork sites to try and get free coins, be fucking damn careful over here. So thank you for the heads up.
Interestingly, there's a website called Salon.com that was caught for using people's browsers for mining Monero. They had the miner installed behind their advertisements. So people, while they were visiting sites, were mining Monero for this company. So they were exposed and they decided, hey, we're going to give people a choice now. If you want to mine Monero for us while you're on our site, we won't display our ads for you. But if you don't want to use your computer to mine Monero, you can view ads. So they've essentially given you a choice.
I like that. That's smart.
Yeah, because it's a way, a lot of websites are generating revenue with their ads. And hey, why not? If you don't want to see all these crazy ads,
that sort of deals with this sort of pop-up blocker kind of shit, right? Because like there's one site in particular that we were going to for the level tours doing commodities and stuff, and these guys were like, we depend on advertising to survive, right? And they just fucking blitz the advertising. It's ridiculous. Look at all this shit, eh?
So for those of you that have Chrome, there's an extension that you can install called NoCoin, and that'll block any miners that are trying to execute within your browser.
Oh, that's smart. I was just going to simply say, wouldn't it be nice if this site just had a pop-up that said, you can opt in for the advertising, or you can mine this particular coin in the background of your computer, and we'll get rid of the advertising. And I think a lot of people, as long as they just know right away, they're not bullshitted, they're not lied to, I bet a lot of people would be like, fine, fucking mine away. I don't care. I don't want to see your goddamn ads. So I thought that was that's interesting that you mentioned that. And of course, all you smart computer people here, that to me sounds like a business model. I mean, God, if I've ever heard of a business model, that's a business model.
So I hate to talk about Ripple, but unfortunately we have to. Goldman Sachs had their Internet and Technology Conference from yesterday, and it's scheduled until tomorrow in San Francisco. And I was trying to find out if there was anyone represented at this conference, and it turns out from the crypto space, and unfortunately it turns out the CEO of Ripple gave a nice long speech. His name's Brad Garlinghouse. And he spoke about Ripple's X-Current payment software and how he's trying to rally all the major banks to switch from the Swift software onto his X-Current payment platform. And he was specifically asked at the conference if he sees major and large banks eventually accepting cryptocurrencies. And he gave no specific time frame, but he said he's been discussing with senior executives at unspecified investment funds and banks about trading cryptocurrencies, and it could take within 6 months and possibly by 2019. So you have to remember here that this guy, Brad Garlinghouse, he's deeply connected in the financial and banking industry. So if there's anyone that's going to be first to market with these banks, unfortunately, it might be Ripple. They're already working on this replacement for the current Swift software or the current Swift system. And for those of you who have ever sent wires, you know that Swift sucks and it's a pain in the ass. and things get lost all the time when you're sending wires, and they take for freaking ever.
It's
And
pathetic.
depending on
I was just at the bank the other day, and I literally went across the street to another bank. I did a withdrawal. It was a bank draft, and the bank wouldn't honor the draft. And I said, I got it from the bank across the street. You can fucking yell at the guy. He's right there. And they wouldn't even bat an eye. It's just like and they had to like put a hold on it. It's just like, what the fuck?
So we have to wonder, are they going to transition to his platform, or are they hearing other proposals, and will they be willing to use other blockchain technologies to replace Swift? I really hope that they don't use Ripple, but we'll see. And Ripple's just in the news all the time. And you have to.
I remember when I first got into this space, Thomas.
The interesting thing about Ripple here is that they're partnering with other places. Like, for example, this week, Ripple announced that they're partnering with the United Arab Emirate Exchange, and they became the latest network to join the Ripple net. So what's the UAE exchange? They partner with India and within the UAE to send what they calculate to be $10 billion a quarter in different assets sent back and forth. So Ripple's adding more and more of these networks into their network, and they're just growing, and they're growing and growing. And I don't want to see that, but hey, there are some people that do, and some people that think that they're a crappy coin and they shouldn't be legitimized, but they're on their way, and they have the financial and banking ties necessary to do that.
Yeah, well, yeah. What I was going to say was that you have to understand, Ripple was actually a bank product before. You know, like when I first got into this space, it was the bank's, token, and it was the sort of chosen remittance system. So it makes perfect sense that Ripple would be the preferred bank cryptocurrency. The irony of it all, though, is that this isn't actually what everybody is jazzed about, decentralized blockchain technology kind of stuff. That's not what Ripple is. So it makes perfect sense why the banks would want to use it. And I believe that this little company, because about right back, it doesn't even show on these charts, right? This used to be all sort of just held by the banks, and then they farmed it out, created this public company that actually owns the asset. And if I understand correctly, the banks are basically the major shareholders of that company. As for a trade here, I don't really like the look of this. I think there's a lot of, you can see where the low is. Could this thing pop up here into resistance? Sure. And if anything, this is probably I see a lot of these coins doing this, where this is like our little Ron Jeremy setup, where you're just going to let the trend lines be broken and then take your sort of first structural signal following the breakout. I've seen probably at least a half a dozen coins, and even just a move to 38.2 is going to give you a better than 2-to-1 risk reward. So, and then also too, if we do things like AB equals CDs, I think probably this is projecting somewhere up into that area too. So, yeah,
the kitty like
that area there, eh?
All the Twitter weenies are liking this one because it's cheap and it moves a lot.
And that's the absolute worst reason to be buying this shit, eh? When you hear people talking about the price of these things, oh, that's horrible. But you want to see, check this out, right? Like, I think there's even better names. Like, look at this ADA, right? You can see it's doing the same thing here. Got a little fractal. This guy hasn't quite broken trend line resistance. You can see that's way up there, but you can see they're going to ramp this guy here. And then, of course, this the shittiest of the shit, good old Verge. You can see the bottom that's trying to come in here too. So you can see there's a whole bunch of these sort of dead cat bounce plays that are happening right now. I don't, me personally, I don't mean to rain on people's parades. That's what a lot of this looks like. V bottoms, dead cat bounces, back into resistance. Oh, here's that chart. I was wondering where the hell this was. Trend channel, good old China Tim and his channel. You can see where major resistance is. We're at a super important resistance line here. Wouldn't even surprise me if we just sort of play along this line for a while here. We've getting, and actually my RSI system, you can see how we get a buy signal here. We got one W here. That broke the bear trend. The second W is actually your trade signal, and gee whiz, you can see this second W that comes in is just basically going to be that market structure signal, good old Ron Jeremy. So I can see the trade here and enjoy it, guys, right? Just have some fun here. But, you know, once this dead cat bounce is played out, it's going to be played out, and we're going to have to do a bit of backfilling. I think that's really got to be the message here.
Yeah. We got to touch on Litecoin before this ends. I want to quickly highlight that Litecoin is announcing they're bringing forward their own payment structure that they were, and this was spawned because BitPay continued to deny their platform access to BitPay. So Litecoin said, all right, we're gonna make our own, and it's called LitePay. And everyone in the Twitter universe was very excited about this. And I think that may be the fundamental driver here.
Yeah, I would be too. I like Litecoin, and I like Charlie. I think you know, he smacks in the face of authority, right? I love his attitude.
There's actually a list of reasons that usethebitcoin.com came up with, and I'll just highlight the top 3. 10x confirmed that Litecoin is going to be added in the next few weeks. The Arizona law that was passed about accepting cryptocurrencies, they stated that Litecoin would be one of those. And the Bitflyer exchange, the Japanese exchange, which was approved in Europe and again in Chicago, they're adding a Litecoin. Well, they were approved in Europe. They're adding a Litecoin Euro trading pair. And also the Venezuela exchange Crypto Buyer is going to be using Litecoin instead of Bitcoin. So there's a lot of bullish news fundamentally driving this thing. And I think we should touch on the technicals quickly before we end here.
Okay, so yeah, and I like to look at these things versus US dollar because you can really see sort of where value is here. Clearly here's sort of our structural bottom. You can see the real fight in here. That's sort of Wyckoff kind of talk, right? You can see where the floor is. Really shouldn't surprise us when they slammed it back down into these levels, right? There's probably a lot of buy orders that were just sitting here. Market takes off, and these people just say, look, if it ever gets back down to this level, just buy the shit out of it, right? So dips into these levels, they're getting filled. I don't know whether this is a V bottom or a real W, because if we actually look, you can see this says 38.4, and this says, well, actually, I guess that's a different number, eh? 107, 38.4, and 106.46. So this is a lower low. And then also, too, if we change this to a line chart, you can see that that's a lower low. So again, dead cat bounce, right, off of new lows. You know, all the level oneers, they're doing this in the course right now, right? Our solid structural W's. Actually, why don't we do a nice, our grade 3 English teacher thinks very highly of us, right? We want it to look like that. And then really this is the establishment of the new uptrend with your buy signal right there. All you level oneers, take a screenshot of that right now. So we look at this pattern. Does this look like this? Not really. You know, we have a V bottom here, and there really hasn't been a serious test of these lows. So what does that mean? Well, to me, what this says is dead cat bounce, and then, who's this? What are we supposed to do with 38.2s? And Mr. Thomas has actually made Ray quite famous here of late.
We're going to the barbecue.
So you can see Litecoin sitting right at Roy's barbecue, Roy or Ray, or whatever the hell we want to call him. And really, I'm probably going to be sounding like a dick here, and I'm sorry, guys. I mean, I really want to, I want to pound the table and be like, we're all going to get rich, right? Rah, rah, rah. But what I'm starting to see here, what looks like to me, is basically a trading range is established. You know, wicks and tails like to be eaten. So they've got a whole bunch of trap bulls right up here. Let's see how this finishes today. But my hunch is these guys are going to be trapped for a while. And, of course, we got a bunch of trap bears down here. Wicks and tails like to be eaten. So you can literally see the battle zone here. If this is, this might, we have on the fib, there is 38.2 on the downside, and you often see me post these kind of images in the lounge where this is just going to be nothing more than just some good old 38.2 ping pong, right? And if this is a bot, then we'll come down to this level and we'll start Wing out here. And if I can get 3 lows, well, then maybe I got a setup to work with down the road. But my hunch is, because this is a V bottom here and this tail really hasn't been explored, we should really keep a close eye for these candle body lows in here, right? I would say that, we're going to get some sort of dip, flash, dunk, right? These big tails. And if you are interested in buying into this story, watch these candle bodies lows like a hawk. And of course, there's good old reload zone 61.8. There's 78.6. I wouldn't even be surprised if Ian's, his Leprechaun is in those tails. And if I wanted to buy Litecoin, right, I'm going to be waiting for some sort of consolidation. And, if it's trend continuation and we get a half decent consolidation here with some structure and some momentum signals, maybe we take the bot coming out of here for the trade up. But my hunch is, probably being the cheap ass and all that kind of conversation, I'm going to be keeping a close eye out for price down here around 130 or so.
Yeah, that's great area. And I want to point out that over the last 2 years, Brian and I have been using Litecoin as a leading indicator to Bitcoin. And that was testament to that last night. Litecoin broke out before Bitcoin did, and it led the way. So
there's one hell of a little breakout here, eh?
Yeah. So whatever it does from here, I would be looking for the same thing to happen in Bitcoin. I don't think we understand how these capital flows work yet, or why this is being a leading indicator, but keep that in mind. Don't trade off of it, but keep it in mind.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe we have to come up. There's 50% level there, eh? I wouldn't be surprised if there's some sort of stab up into this area. And, if we do go straight up here, then this becomes a major shorting zone. So, if anything, if you are a Litecoin bull, you kind of would like to see this thing just calm down, consolidate these recent gains, and then give us our next leg up. This is a little too far, too fast, in my opinion, but oh well, we'll see what happens. Only time will tell, as they say. All right, so that is top of the hour. I do have a class that we have to get to here in the next hour, so I probably should wind this up here today. Well, the only thing I'll talk about, maybe just do a quick review. We bought a couple ideas here recently, and they've done well. And what I would like to see from all the level oneers, regardless of whether you took the trade or not, is see if you can just practice working stink bids, and see if you can, paper trade, get in off of levels. Is this going to come back? I don't know. But we had a really, really good example for the level oneers yesterday. We'll learn trade location tools. We'll learn the idea of hunting structure, heading down the road, and trying to sneak in on trade ideas off of previous W's. We did take the trade at TRI off of this level, and it was a really cool example, because you look at this candle just here today and you'd go, well, there's no way I could have gotten into that. But that's actually not true. If you actually look at this on like an intraday chart, the market actually gave you lots of opportunity through here to get in off of this level. Let's see how it jumped up here. You could have chased it, but it actually finished that candle there, and you can see this candle opened up here and actually went below. So it's not like you can even make the argument that you couldn't have gotten in on the trade. But at the present, right, at the very least, I just want all the new people to the site or doing the education programs and stuff just to understand what's going on here, because that was a pretty good looking W, and I'm feeling pretty good about that trade. It was a pretty good trade. I don't know. Is there anything else I really want to talk to you guys about here today? Not a bad idea. We'll finish off with ETC, I think, had a bullish bot, so trend continuation setups. We talked about this yesterday. Really nice little fractal signal that could have got you in ahead of the bot level, but regardless, there is the bot entry. And it's at its move stop to trailing level now. So botters, by all means, if they're getting chicken shit, they could have just dumped on any lower time frame failure up here. But, you know, maybe be hunting for M's or something in price to trail stops. So really good example of a trend continuation trade, and ETC's target you can see is just up here. And then we'll just finish off another one that popped up, and we're already long a shitload of it, so it's not really like I'm in a big hurry. But just another good example of a trend continuation setup, nice W's. You can see how the market set this trade up just beautifully. 1 low, 2 lows, 3 lows, 4 lows to work with. And same thing, move stop to scratch hit, move stop to trailing hit. If you want to just start hunting M's here to move stops up here and lock in profits, totally fine. And you can see its ultimate objective is up here. So I see there are trades to be traded. Don't get me wrong. And, you know, even us, you know, reporting on the site, we have actually reported that we have been a bit of active here in the market recently. So there is stuff to be buying. That's definitely not out of the question. The key really here is you just got to identify what works best for you, build that plan, come up with your risk management model, what type of risk taker you are, and just get in there and start trading. Obviously, if you're new to trading, it's a little bit difficult. I would recommend for your first 20 or so trades, just paper trade. You don't have to risk any money. Just say, well, on paper, boom, Brian, I bought this level, and I'm right there with you, and I'm going to log exactly what happens. It's there. It's just, you know, it's weird. You just, at some point, you know, especially, you know, those people going through the education program, getting comfortable where we're working with trading plans, risk management, all that kind of stuff. At some point, you're just going to get to the point, okay, well, I understand this. I put my plan together. Now I just got to get in there and start taking setups. I see that evolutionary process with a lot of students, and it's beautiful to watch. So very doable. The market is always a market. Just be patient, be disciplined. In this particular case, we had a rip-roaring crazy bull market first, you know, heading into the end of the year. We had to give the market a couple months to settle down. A couple months have gone by, and now it's just back to business as usual. All right, so on that note, why don't we leave it at that? Thank you very much, Thomas, for your great contribution today. Hope everybody feels like they're getting really good value out of their site subscriptions.
Just one question.
All right, Thomas got something else to say. What's on your mind, sir?
I just want to say that we're tailoring this for you guys. This is about the community. We want you, everyone here, to feel like they're getting something out of this daily brief. I'm, recently new to this, so I want to make sure that what I'm delivering to you is what you want to hear. Now, today's show was a lot of news. So if anyone wants to see more or less of that, or more or less of something else, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. You can PM me on the site and let me know what you want. We're going to tailor this to be your experience. We want you guys to be entertained, and we want you to feel like you're learning something from this at the same time. So please feel free to reach out to me. I know we haven't been covering your requests that Brian usually does, and that's largely my fault for the amount of content that I'm bringing here. So if maybe you're feeling like you're missing out on all of your questions being answered and you're not getting those answered in the lounge and you rely on the daily brief to get that, reach out to me and say that as well. Maybe we'll make a specific day where we just eliminate the news content delivery that I was heavy on today. So thank you very much, everyone.
I think you're doing great. And if anything, as we sort of fill out that co-producer role, they'll, maybe make sure that we have individual segments that are addressed different days of the week. What day is it today? It's Wednesday, right? So what should we have? Like, I don't know. I can't think of anything that starts with a W. What was that? The Waltons, right? Maybe we look at W coins on Wednesday or something. I don't know. But I think you're doing a fantastic job for whatever it's worth. Keep on keeping on. And as Thomas says, really, ultimately, we just want to, fill this out so you guys are best served. So, and if anything, that's awesome. Thomas is going to download all that feedback and all the suggestions onto his plate. So thank you very much, sir. And I can get off to class and teach people how to build their trading plans. So. All right, great job, guys. PMA for the win. Collective 1 + 1 = 3. I'm really proud of the site. Let's just keep on keeping on, and let's just go rock this world. All right, have a great day, everybody. All the best, and bye for now.